15 degrees, you can see your breath. Out here in the lake effect, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto, Ron, Elvis, and the Lay Poncho. The members that you need to know. 'Cause once you out here now, your family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout cracking like a symphony. Where else would you rather be?
All right, let's get straight to it. Really excited for tonight's episode. It's funny because, we did the offensive preview last week. Shout out to Nate Geary and Fernando Shamoud, who helped us, kind of just chop through everything. And it was a really great episode. It flowed well. And listening back, I just thought that we hit on all the major points. Well, we flipped the side of the ball tonight. It's defensive time. It's time to talk about the defense. New defensive head coordinator Jim Leonhard leads this defense, and we're going to see what we got. I mean, there's a lot of things to chop up. TGIF. Joining me tonight, as always, my co-host riding shotgun, Adam Dumptruck Rupsick. Check him out on Instagram and Twitter at Adam Rupsick, RUPCZYK. Holla at the crew, DT. What's good, DT? You looking good with the golf shirt, sunshine, and holla at the crew.
Nickel City, what's up? Rob, happy Friday. Again, 2 weeks in a row, different location for DT and Nickel City Crew. We'll get to it, but happy to be here. Other side of the ball, everybody talks about 1-7. I go to the practice on Tuesday. Every single person, 41,000 of them had a 17 jersey on. So it's time to talk defense. We got to play that side of the ball too, and it's let us down the last 7 years. So excited to get into it tonight, Rob. Happy Friday. What's up, baby?
I'm good, man. TGIF, man. I'm really excited. Listen, we had two great guests for you last week. We're hitting you with another headbanger tonight. Listen, DT, I told you, man. I've told Nickel City Crew I love these Twitter spaces. I love getting into it. I love, kind of practicing my takes and different things like that. Two guys have really stood out to me in respect to just their football acumen, the way that they see the game, different things like that. Again, Nickel City Crew, we're not looking for an echo chamber or anything like that, but sometimes when you pick up on a couple things that some guys saying, you're like, you know what, this dude knows his ball. We've got two for you tonight. Listen, check him out on Twitter at Jance. That's JANCE716. My boy Jarek Hall. Holla at the crew, Jarek. Really, really happy to have you here, man. I've been enjoying our interactions for the last few months. Really, it's been about almost a year now. I've been in those spaces. Jarek, holla at the crew. What's good, man?
What's going on, y'all? I finally got my camera to work. But what's going on, guys? Yeah, man. Excited to be here. Rob's been, Rob's been trying to get me on this thing for a minute. Again, should have been on here last week, but we had some technical difficulties. So I'm glad that we can get on here. We can just start to chop it up, man. So I'm excited.
I really appreciate your time, and also another brother that I really enjoyed. This cat, a Florida cat. Loves to gamble, loves to do his thing. And I'm like, man, I just, some of his takes, I'm like, man, I just like him so weird. I reached out to him, told him that I had to find a way to get him on the show. And I really do appreciate his time as well. You could check him out on Twitter at ShermGZ. Holla at the crew, Sherm. My man, listen, it's good to finally link up and get you on the show just like Jarek. I'm really happy to have you tonight. It's been a long time coming, but I'm happy to have you, man. What's good, man? Holla at the crew, man. TGIF.
Man, what's up? I wish I had the great jersey for it, man. I would have came out in style, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I'm at the office just chilling. And actually, while I do my work, you know what I mean? I got a couple of things going on, but I've been, just they got to hire me soon. I'm ready to be the scout. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let them know what they need to do on some of these roster decisions. So I'm happy that we're talking defense because that's really what I want to focus on. So I was excited to hear about that. But shout out DT. What's up, Rob and Jarek as always.
Salute, man. I appreciate it, man. I just love that Nickel City crew can bring different fans together and we can kind of chop it up. Now, listen, no time to waste, fellas. It's interesting because, I named the episode the way that I did because we have been coming off of 9 years of, Sean McDermott. We've been coming off 9 years of a certain style, a certain specific way that he likes to coach. And it was interesting, DT, because when I looked at it and I thought back on these last 9 years, I thought of something that I had heard, I think it was like Ben Solak or something like that, had said in recent time. He said, Sean McDermott is like a pitcher that he just throws what he throws, and he doesn't really have a changeup. He doesn't really have an off-speed pitch, but he throws what he throws, and he's good at it, and he's solid, but he really doesn't have an off-speed. And it was interesting because, and that was last year I heard that in the offseason. I was like, man, that really does describe McDermott well. He was like Novocaine, DT, bend but don't break. Bend but don't break. And we talked about it, DT. It has its merits, but like it just seemed like in the playoffs it let us down. And I'm embracing change, man. To be honest, DT, I'm embracing change. It's different. It's going to be different, and that's something that works out well for the Bills. Are you muted, DT? Lord have mercy. Jarek, I mean, I don't know what's going on. They're trying to bog us up tonight, man. What are some of the differences that you see? Because I think that Bend But Don't Break it had its merits, but I think that it ran its course, and I'm really, really ready for a change. I think the change was welcome. I think that it's time, and I can't really scoff at it.
Oh well, first of all, that's McDermott hacking in. We know that's him trying to throw and hit the sky coverage to hack in. But no, like I think the difference is that Leonard's a little bit more aggressive. He's more straightforward. It's a little less read and react, a little less kind of predetermined with the defense. Like this is definitely like it's going to be a more aggressive style of defense. We're going to see a lot more different style of variations. We're going to see a lot more peso, which is basically a 2-4-5, or a little, which is basically just a 2-4-5. We're going to see different variations of the 3-4. We're going to be a lot more aggressive. I can see a lot more 3-2s. I can see a lot more, 3-2-6, a lot more cub looks, a lot more kind of money looks. I think we're going to see a different, pretty much the thing that I like to talk about is McDermott in week 5, week 6 against Carolina and against Kansas City when we had Michael Hoyt. We were literally using a base 3-4 in those particular games, and we were running so many different style of hybrid formations or hybrid stunt variations. Michael Hoyt is the one that is calling the key stunts, and we're running a bunch of techs and mechs and a bunch of different twist sort of variations, concepts. We were running double mug with Javon Solomon and Michael Hoyt, both in the A gap, and it was, so we weren't like, when was the last time we're running basically dog looks, which is basically just a 5-man look? Like, when was the last time we're running heavy 5-6-man looks? When was the last time we're crowding in the box?
I can't remember.
And running a little bit more of a 6-1. Like it's stuff like that that I'm still scratching my head around. I was like, bro, McDermott, why didn't you do this before? Like, we had all these a bunch of years and we haven't run this stuff since Lorenzo Alexander. So a lot of our stuff is just base 4-3, 4-2-5 with Teron Johnson playing as basically a box linebacker. And so now that Jim Leonhard, I think the good thing, for Bills fans that love that style of what we saw in week 5 and week 6, you're going to get it this particular season. Terrell Bernard literally had to relearn it. I mean, again, he's not relearning, because what people don't know is that Jim Leonhard is a disciple of Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda is a disciple of a disciple of Wilcox, of Jeff Wilcox, who's one of the best. He was one of the best defensive innovators, like him, Bob Ryan, or the Ryan family when they were running that modern style of 3-4. That's where Jim Leonhard comes from, and so we all know his story was with that Denver. Obviously, Denver has ties to Dave Aranda, has ties to that different style. So we're going to get a lot more aggressive, a lot more less thinking, a lot more straightforward. And we even heard Jim Leonhard's comments when he was like talking to Terrell Bernard, when he's basically saying Terrell Bernard is like one of the smartest linebackers, smartest IQs ever been around, but he thinks too much. And that's because the last regime, pretty much, it was a lot of the stuff was just read, and it was just predetermined, beat player to the particular spot. If some player, like we run a lot of match principles, and so it was just a lot of thinking. And so this is a defense that's going to be a little bit completely different. We're going to run a lot more different stunt variations. I think Michael, he's going to more backup, still going to be more involved because he's one of the smartest players in terms of calling out particular offensive line protections and then using those stunt variations to our advantage. I think, again, Terrell Bernard is still going to be the commander in chief, but he's not going to have to think as much. He's just going to attack and go. Dorian Williams is going to attack and go. Caleb Elam's or his job is going to attack. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm really, really excited for is that we have a lot of versatile pieces that don't really like. I don't think there's one player in this defense that has a true position. I think every person on this defense have multiple different spots you can play him at. Deion Walker, who everyone keeps saying he's going to be the next Vita Vea, he doesn't have a true position. His best position is when he plays more as a 4-eye or as a 4-eye, maybe even further than that. That's his best position. But because of how unique of a size and how pretty much how much he's of a genetic freak he is, he can play one.
Yeah, the dancing bear.
Exactly. Like he can play everywhere. So Ed Oliver, same situation. He's not just a 4-eye. He can play many different alignments and still dominate despite the fact that he's undersized. We saw Landon Jackson. We thought, we buffed him up all of a sudden now, but guess what? He's playing a 7 role. He's playing a 7 role as an edge, but he's also playing 4-eye. So every single player within this defense has such a unique role. You're not going to be stagnant. You're playing different positions, and that means a lot of different disguise looks, different stunt variations, different how we can show our blitzes, how we can disguise our blitzes, how we can disguise our coverages, how we can run a lot of split field coverage. So many different things. Again, I don't want to take too much time, but so many different things that I believe that Jim Leonhard is going to run based off of what we saw from Denver, based off what we see from Dave Aranda from when he was at Baylor, and Jeff Wilcox, and so on and so forth. It's going to be more of a hybrid style of defense, and so I'm excited to see that and to see the overall philosophy completely change compared to what we saw from McDermott, which was, let's be honest, stagnant until the end, to what we get now. I think it's going to be a night and day difference, and I'm excited to see it.
Sure. Yeah, pass the blunt, Jarek. Pass the blunt, man. Like, come on now. Listen, it's funny because, like, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, and I'm really excited to see the differences because I think that there's a situation where maybe there's, just different things that we weren't able to do or McDermott was unwilling to do, and you kind of spoke to that. Sherm, kind of piggybacking off of Jarek, I'm interested to know what are some of the things that you think might be different, because when I look at Bend But Don't Break, like I said, it had its merits between the 20s and stuff like that. But now we're in a situation where there's going to be more risk. And anytime you have more risk, then obviously there's more reward that could be on the line as well. I expect us to get beat sometimes, Sherm, but I also expect us to get, those turnovers and some of those things that were the tent poles of McDermott's defense. I mean, he did turn the ball over. He did force turnovers for that defense, but it was a situation where, like I said, playoff time, crunch time, it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough.
I would say, I'm not going to piggyback off of much of what Jarek said. The problem is that, when we look at some of the things that Sean McDermott is getting credit for, right? And when you're looking in and you say, okay, well, the Bills defense is statistically ranked in these things. What I like to do is go beyond and let's get into the actual let's just cut it down to where it was. First of all, the first thing that we have to do is stop a fucking team on 3rd and 1. Excuse my language.
No,
And
we
I mean that. I mean
talk
that.
freely.
Like, to
Nickel
know
City Crew,
that
we
3rd
talk
and
freely.
1 is not a gimme. That would be pleasant, right? And I don't care. We can talk about who's going to be where. Like, we're going to need Deion Walker to be that big body in the middle. Yes, he is better aligned outside. We know that because he's a lot quicker. But we don't have that big strength, right? So you're going to have that Denver Bronco mentality where it was mix and match is basically what Jarrett's getting at, is each one of those guys is plug and play. Now you're hoping you can get that one-on-one with Ed if Deion can eat 2 tackles. You know what I'm saying? Like, he needs to get 2 blockers on it. So that could start. That's number 1. Number 2, 3rd and 1 sounds so simple. So simple. Let's go to the next simple part. Do you guys know that the Buffalo Bills are one of 2 teams that made the playoffs that missed 152 tackles? 152 tackles last year. Okay, so that's real. These are real. Like, instead of pulling it back and people want to say, well, we don't know what to expect from this Bills defense, right? What we do know is if we get a little bit better on a couple things on 3rd down, we're in the bottom 3rd of the league. This is consistency. Like, this isn't like it shouldn't be rocket science to anybody, but I'm just saying, you get people who are saying, and I think it was McDermott's best effort for a second half. So if he wants to come in and coach second halves of something, that's fine. But for me, and I beat this drum a lot, but you have to think about on 3rd down as a whole, we don't get off the field. We just didn't. It was something that was something so bad. And here's a fun one for you real quick. You want to talk about defense? We trailed in over 4, I think it was 9 of the games we were trailing at halftime. Yes. That can't happen. Yes,
that's starting slow.
I don't want to hear about this. This is defensive problems. Those are points, right? Regardless of how they were they weren't turnover prone. Going into the Houston game, I like to do a lot of things, and one of the things I like to look at is okay, we have a scramble percentage and an expected points or whatever. Josh is he gets out of stuff. So you got to realize it doesn't matter what we're putting ourselves into. Yes, you're going to have a bonehead play once or twice, but the defense cannot give up the little things. And it's small, and it's fundamentals. It's just fundamentals and winning. You got to win a couple of times. So I don't know if regression is even capable. I don't I
mean, Jim Leonhard did kind of warn us and say that he doesn't have all the pieces, and I think that he was kind of trying to temper expectations, and we talked about that a little bit last week. So I don't know necessarily what to expect early on, but I do think that down the road he's going to have the pieces that he needs. I could give him that grace, is that maybe he doesn't have all of the pieces, Sherm, that he needs right now. You know what I mean?
Again, I think pieces aside, you can still look at fundamentals. Coaching matters. Coaching, I wasn't here for the offensive side of things, but I'll just say there's certain things. I don't care if I'm coaching in a game, you got 13, 19 seconds on the clock. You kneel the damn ball, right? You do. I mean, there has to be somebody. Listen, you do certain things that you have to do. One thing I'll tell you about Jim Leonhard, he's a fundamental. What would they call him in high school? He's a coach on the field. He's a fundamental warrior.
Same thing they said when he was a Bill.
You know what I mean? And that's what it is. You know that you're going to do the little things right. And if you watch some of these practices and you watch the preseason game, what are they doing? They're following through. You see tackles being made all the way. You're not going to see this arm nonsense. I'm sorry, I got to watch my language, but I'm just saying.
No, you don't have to watch your language. Talk real, man.
Let's get back to wrapping up, following through. Cornerbacks coming through. You may not be able to get the interception, but in the McDermott defense, I saw Dane Jackson get hit in the head with the damn ball 3 damn times in the back of the head. Put your hand up like the receiver does it. Even I know to do that. So, Jim Leonhard's going to have the little things right. It's the little things. And that's the difference in a Buffalo Bills succeeding and so let's get back to one thing real quick. You said he doesn't have the pieces. And I do want to address some of the things.
Well, he kind of said that. I'm just using his words.
Well, I think temper expectations just to say people are going to be learning as they go, right? And I say that all the time. People are going to be, with the new scheme, there's going to be a couple of gaffes is what he's trying to prepare you for. In other words, when you're getting those different looks that Jared's talking about, or that you're wanting to see that pressures, right? you're not really going to get more of a blitzing defense. If anyone thinks that, they're wrong. You're getting a different odd man look. You're getting an overload on one side, and maybe Rousseau drops into coverage, right? So that's where you're going to have your growing pains, because it's not going to be hand in the dirt, heading straight to the quarterback. It's going to be hesitate, come back, right? And that's some certain things. I think we have the cerebral linebacker in Bernard. He's got to get better on his tackling as well. But flipping that roster is because speed is not what we're looking for. It's Conor McGregor says it best. Precision beats power, timing beats speed. These guys get on the same page, you're going to win. You're going to win.
DT, it's interesting because Sherm brings up some points, and so did Jarek, that, I'm interested to know, like, what, I don't know, DT. Like, I think that we're in a situation where it's going to be different. It's going to be a situation where it's not, necessarily what we're used to seeing. But I think that I'm embracing the change, DT, because of the playoff losses. And that's me personally. I'm not trying to put that on anybody else. But, like, for me, Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew, I think that when you do the same thing for 9 years and then you become predictable, so to speak, where your opponents know what to expect, everybody knows what to expect from a Sean McDermott defense, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air where maybe you don't know. Now, I don't know how much, Sherm could be right. Maybe we don't blitz as much that we think that they're going to blitz, or whatever the case may be, but I still think that there's going to be wrinkles in this new defense, DT, before you dropped out, where I don't know, man. I just think that it could be a positive. Like, I don't look at change as negative when it comes to Jim Leonhard and this new defense. You with me, DT? You killing me tonight. You with me, DT? You frozen? You killing me. I don't know, man. I listen, as we transition, and DT will try to, oh, there you go. You good? You back? It's Jarek is right. It's fucking McDermott and his cronies. They are trying to fuck the shit up. They're trying to fuck up anything that goes on with trying to move away from the McDermott defense. So it's funny. Listen, Jarek, I'm interested because when I look at it starting from the defensive line going forward, and it was interesting because I was a big fan of Caden McDonald, and I thought that the Bills were going to draft him. Then they drafted IGB. And, it kind of threw a monkey wrench in everybody's draft plans. Not everybody, but a lot of people were thinking that we were targeting defensive tackle, a true nose. And now you got the Vita Vea stuff that obviously simmered down with him resigning. Is everything okay on the defensive line, Jarek, in respects to, you talked about multiple positions. You talked about guys playing different roles. We've got that dancing bear who looks great and looks like he's poised for a great come out. I don't know, man. I'm just wondering if everything can gel within year one where we can make an impact, because there's a lot of different moving parts like you spoke about.
I think it'll be better than it was last year. It has to be, because I think last year on the defensive line was a complete and utter disaster. However, yeah, it's going to have growing pains. I don't think we have the depth compared to, and I'm just comparing it to like the Seahawks. We don't have the Seahawks defensive line. We don't have a 3 to 4 man rotation like they do. We don't have the Eagles defensive line. We don't have the Rams. We don't have the Rams. I don't even think we have the Browns like D line rotation. The Browns D tackle rotation is really freaking good. So I don't think that we're like top 10 in terms of defensive line rotation. Edges. I mean, and you can see too, like there's a reason why you picked up Greg Gaines. You picked up Greg Gaines because outside of Deion Walker, and again, Fedarian Mathis is suspended, but we need run defenders. We need guys that when we go into those tight fronts, when we go into those mid fronts, when you have your 2 4 and you have your prototypical zero, or if you go like your zero, like do we have the players? Do we have the players and the rotation necessary for us to be successful? And so like that's the question. Like you pick up Greg Gaines because Greg Gaines has some familiarity of being within a defense like this. He did it, I think, with Todd Bowles in 2020. No, he wasn't on that team, but still, like he has been on this thing before. I think with the Rams. So that's why you kind of pick him up, and not to mention too, he does have even more way more quality at stopping the run than a Dwayne Carter. So, and then even then, like Gregory Rousseau is not used, like what we're like dropping him back into, like he is going to drop back into coverage. Bradley Chubb is going to drop back into coverage. You know, it's gonna be different.
Hopefully not a lot. Hopefully not a lot of
No,
Sherman
it's
talking about. I don't want it to
not
be
gonna be
all.
a lot.
I don't want
No.
to be every third down. Like I
No,
don't.
it's not going to be a lot, but yeah, like if we start to, but yeah, we're going to run, yeah, but just like the amount of looks that we're going to show, yeah,
Okay.
you're going to have situations like that in the fourth. So yeah, I mean, we'll figure out. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but overall wise, like this, we're going to have our growing pains. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's
Okay.
early.
I agree.
My expectation, hopefully, is that we pick things up in the second half to maybe even the playoff or maybe in the start. But, you know, yeah, like it's gonna happen. I just think more from a depth perspective is where I think is where it's gonna show his head. Again, you picked up Greg Gangs. You tried to buff up Dwayne Carter by adding 10 or 15 pounds
Adding weight.
that he can again. He's a 3-tech. That you're trying to play him more of an inside shade. He's undersized and he just doesn't have the size. Well, I mean, yeah, we're gonna have our growing pains, but overall, if we can stay, as long as we can stay healthy, which that's the key word is health, which we haven't been staying healthy in more than a few spots, then I think this defense is gonna be fine. But I think, yeah, once injuries do start to pile, if it does happen, hopefully it doesn't, it's gonna test everything out, and that's obviously, I think, you know, I wouldn't be shocked midseason if the Buffalo Bills continue to make trades to try to address that spot.
Sherm, before we get to Sherm, DT, are you good? Can you hear me? Are you back?
Hey.
I want your insights, man. I mean, you're killing me right now tonight, man. You're killing me. We got guests at the house, and you fucking up. Listen,
yeah.
DT, I want to know what your opinion is on the changes, on the differences that we're going to see. Bend but don't break is over. It is the death of bend but don't break, and I think that. Again, because it had its merits, we suffered through it. And it was, yes, between the 20s, McDermott was great. I'm worried, DT, in respects to the fact that I don't know if everybody is prepared for how different it's going to look, DT. And I also, simultaneously, I don't think that change is bad, DT. I don't think that different and new and change is bad. And I think that everybody just needs to buckle up. We might give up some bigger plays than you might normally see over the top. And we'll talk about the linebackers in the secondary in a minute. But, like, I think that there's going to be a trade-off where it's going to be worth it in the end, DT. It's going to be worth it.
Well, it's worth it in the divisional fourth quarter, you know, in that last play on the 3rd and long when we need a stop. And that's something we haven't ever gotten, right? So if we do give up some plays, you know, in the season that we usually didn't because it isn't bend don't break anymore, that's what we talked about, the fundamental piece, right? That's going to make up for a lot of the things. If we do let up a big play, well, we're not going to let up that rush on 3rd and 8 because we're making the tackle in the backfield when we should have. So that's where it comes down to. And 17 is never worried about playing from behind either. So, you know, with that worst case scenario, if we are getting scored on or whatever the case is, that's just going to have to up the ante on the offensive side of the ball to go score more points. And that's our dream anyway. Go score 40, whatever. So 40, you know, that's where I'm at with the newness of it. I think it's going to make up where it might get looser and higher risk in other places. The fundamentals will make up for that. And I like the different looks and the exotics we talk about every week. And the way it's a 3-3-5, but really it's a 6-2, you know, or a 6-1, right? Because there's guys all over and the different ups and backs. And I think there's a wide range of talent on the defensive front that we've been drafting and adding, and there's 50 of them, right? So I'm hoping the pieces can be found from Jim Leonhard as we move forward with that many chess pieces. You got to find a few guys that can play these positionless roles.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, it's interesting, Sherm, because like when I look at it, you know, if you start to go back from the defense, you go defensive line, then you go to the linebackers. You said a name that like has been big on my list is that like Terrell Bernard. I understand that he went through injuries last year. I understand that we necessarily didn't get the best of him, but Sherm, I'm concerned because KEO and the way that he plays, I'm not saying that KEO is going to be above, you know what I mean, Terrell Bernard, but I think that he could be above Dorian Williams, and I think that it could be a situation where I'm interested in this linebackers. A lot of Bills Mafia wanted us to add a linebacker, whether it been, you know, bringing Shaq Thompson back, whatever the case may be. Sherm, I'm concerned a little bit about the linebackers because I think we're just a little bit light, and I don't know necessarily if we can hold up. Maybe we can. Maybe it's going to be no big deal in the end, but I think that it's it's something worth at least monitoring, because I know that Terrell is a great player. I just haven't seen him be a great player since, a couple years ago.
Well, a couple of years ago, he was robbed of an All-Pro. Don't get that twisted.
No
He was an
problem.
All-Pro.
No
He was
problem.
the All-Pro. Okay, don't ever
Okay.
forget.
He was.
Remember what defense he comes from. See, Jared will drop names on you, but see, college is my forte. So Dave Aranda, where does Terrell Bernard? What system does he come from? Right.
He comes from
So
TCU.
when you
Baylor. I'm
him,
sorry.
Baylor.
Baylor.
Okay, so follow me. He was a safety and he's converted. Remember that. Don't ever forget that he is a converted safety. And his instincts, right? There is conceptual things that are changing as far as this defense is concerned that I don't think people are really understanding. Sean McDermott might have been the most predictable coach as far as I'm going to put 4 here and I'm going to put 3 linebackers and then we're going to wait. I do this, man. I'm watching Prime Video. I'm watching our Texans game because I'm trying to see what's going on. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, damn. Like we don't have any, like you have Davis Mills in that game who doesn't, he gets the key on his read. He can identify at the line. He can look, there's my mic. This is the gap right here. They're coming here, blah, blah, blah. You point all this. What Leonhard does is even though, and yes, we're going to blitz more. So if that's what you're wanting to hear, we are, because I think Sean McDermott blitzed less than 15% of the time, which is egregiously low, right? And if he did, he would bring slot pressure, or he would bring someone, as you guys were saying, with we're not going to talk about that guy. But what I will say is no, I don't want to piss down nobody's leg. Like what I want to say is like,
well, sure, be real tonight. It's Friday. Be real. You at the crew, cuss. Do whatever you got to do. Keep it funky
so for the audience. Taron Johnson had regressed. Okay, Taron Johnson had regressed. That's just what it was. And whether anyone wanted to see it or not, he hit his peak. And the fact of the matter is yes, he made some highlight plays. Yes, we will love him. We will endear him in our hearts forever, but he wasn't the same player. He just wasn't.
Right.
And he wasn't making the big tackles. He wasn't making the same hits. It's just the way it goes. So now when you have a pre-snap disguise, that disguise is going to do more for you than you know. For quarterbacks like Drake May, who in the Super Bowl did look like he was seeing ghosts, right? The reason he was seeing ghosts is because there's a disguise. And when you cause that single bit of hesitation, you take the Bills, who we're in the bottom third of sacks. So I don't see, like, if you're averaging 0.9 sacks per game, I can assure you it doesn't get worse. Like, you're going to get one of those on a drop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what it is. What I would also say is when there's this debate going on of how, do we have the depth or do we have the pieces? Yeah, they probably do need to add a linebacker. I think your concerns there are right, because we're an injury away from seeing Buffalo Joe out there. I mean, that's just the truth. And that story may sound cute to some people, but it's about as
It won't be that cute on the Sunday. It won't be that cute on the Sunday that you need a W.
Okay, so I like DeMar Hamlin. I think DeMar Hamlin's a hell of a human. I don't want DeMar Hamlin on my football side. I just don't want him on the field. He's a great person, fantastic story, great. But this isn't a Buffalo love story. This is get in your ring, get Rob a parade. And
parade, baby, there you go.
Addressing the needs. And so if you're going to talk about, as far as we're going regarding the pre-snap and the concepts that we're going, like I said, it's all about the concept. So when I tell you that, what do you feel more comfortable with an overload on, let's just say, if you bring it back, I know you're saying, oh, Greg Rousseau. I watched Greg Rousseau in college. Greg can do it all. Greg can do it all. We've underused him, right? You have to mix and match a little bit, and it's not just winning one-on-one. Like I said, I started with saying it was predictable. It was as predictable as it gets. You knew where it was coming. Okay, so the defense they would stun, or it doesn't matter. That none of that matters if you're not disguising what the quarterback's seeing. That little bit of hesitation that Jim Leonhard's going to provide us will lead to more sacks. Will it lead to a couple of gaffes in the secondary? It very well could, because now you're going to cause the quarterback to throw a couple hero balls. That's just what's going to happen.
Jarek, listen, tonight's episode is presented by Buffalo Fan Base, the official Bills Mafia podcast network that DT and I simulcast on. Head on over to Buffalo Fan Base. Listen, they've got great content creators. I just hooked up with a couple of them the other day from another podcast. And they've got K-Gun Report. They've got Circle the Wagons. They've everything that you need. They've got our boy Ryan Thomas. Ryan Takes Sports. They've got everybody there that you need. Check out Buffalo Fan Base. Salute to the Godfather. Del Reed, along with Justice General. Anything that you need in respects to your Bills content leading up to this historical 2026 Bill season, you can check them out and make sure that you do. Listen, we also simulcast on I-86 Network. Check them out. Listen, they've got all of the boxing and the UFC and the wrestling. They got everything that you need, and they're keeping you locked and loaded. They got a bunch of Sabres coverage. Listen, check out I-86 Network. We also simulcast over there. Shout out to my boy Tom Wujek and Bobby Hansen running a great site over there. DT is really killing me tonight. He is in and out like a motherfucker that is he owes somebody money. He just in, out, in, out. Jarek, we go from the linebackers, then we go to the secondary. And one of the things that I loved the most about seeing the secondary come together over the offseason, to be honest with you, was the addition of CJGJ. And I say that because of the fact that I've always been under the impression, whether it's right or wrong, Jarek, that McDermott likes his guys. And when I say his guys, it's guys that fit kind of his mold, kind of semi-choir boy, hearkening back to Ty Dunn's piece on him. And I don't think that CJGJ would ever have been in the cards for a guy like Sean McDermott, because he's loud, he's brash, he's confident, he's loud, he's brash, he talks shit, he's loud. Like, just a lot of things in respects to his makeup may not have rubbed Sean McDermott the right way. I was happy that Joe Brady brought him in with Brandon Beane, and I think that this guy can be, when it comes to the secondary, there's an attitude that needs to be played with. There is a certain way that you need to go about your business. I think that CJGJ, he embodies all of it. I'm here for all of it. I want all the smoke. And I really do think that he's a great addition to the secondary and will help out with some of these younger guys as well. Even DeMar Hamlin, who Sherm can't stand. I think that that the addition of a guy like that helps out the entire room. I really do.
Well, like Sherman said, I don't want DeMar Hamlin on the roster, but unfortunately, he is going to be on the roster because of special teams value. No, but McDermott, you're right. McDermott has his guys, and that could be a positive, because you look at Christian Benford, you look at Tre'Davious White, they're zone corners. They came in from really, Tre'Davious White was a match corner. Christian Benford was more of your traditional cover 3 corner. And you look at those sort of players. And again, of course, you got the downside. You look at your Dave Jacksons and your Levi Wallaces of the world. Levi Wallace came from cover 8. He came from the cover 8 scheme, that cover 7, cover 8 scheme in Tuscaloosa with Nick Saban. But it's obviously McDermott has his particular guys, and he has this system of running that 4-3 or that 4-2-5. Teron Johnson playing that box to box, sort of role, playing basically as an extra linebacker. Listen, for some years it worked until we got into the postseason, and then all of a sudden we couldn't run any sort of traditional. We couldn't run, like we were running just traditional pressure, nothing, no different stunts, no key blitzes off the edge, nothing. And then all of a sudden our secondary is playing this conservative base cover 3. And it was just complete hell. The seams were wide open. We backed our corner, like the death of what our corners were playing were extremely freaking far. So it was allowing so much underneath stuff to open up, and it was just giving way too much. We're giving way too much responsibility for our linebackers to kind of handle, because it's, as a linebacker, it's hard sometimes to. Okay, I have to worry about what's behind me. I have to worry about what's in front of me. I have to worry about, especially if I'm playing a particular zone, especially if I have a particular zone drop. And if let's just say I am playing match coverage, it's way harder, to cover 2 or 3, 4 different things happening in front of you or behind you. And so it's that's the thing about McDermott's defense. It's just thinking. It's too much thinking. Yes, and it can help. It can absolutely excel, especially if you have a very intelligent linebacker. May not be the best athletically, but as long as they have the mental capacity to handle the McDermott's philosophy, they're going to excel. Very similar to like Bill Belichick, how he can take players from Walmart and all of a sudden like Bill Belichick had a certain defense that just worked with certain players. But the problem was that the downside with having McDermott guys is that he had it his way. So perfect That's example, because we just had it we're seeing it this year. It's Jordan Hancock. Jordan Hancock was drafted from Ohio State, very athletically gifted, had a RAS score, I think, close to a 9. 6'1", 195 pounds. He's a big player. He's a big DB. I don't think he has a true traditional position, but when he came out of Ohio State, and what he was known for was playing in the slot. That's what he was good at. He was basically a star playing in the slot.
Right.
And he made a lot of key tackles. He made a lot of key plays in the passing game strictly for that position. We drafted Teron Johnson, and what do we make Teron Johnson play? Well, we make him basically play 4 different positions. He's playing as a field side corner. He's playing in the slot. He's playing in the box. He's playing as a post safety. He's playing as a split safety. He's playing way too many different roles. And so all of a sudden now, when we get, let's just say we get to the playoffs, what happens when we get to the playoffs against the Jacksonville Jaguars when we have a player hurt? He's playing as a post safety. And thank God we played against Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence was unable to identify the weakness, which was Jordan Hancock, who was always a step behind in terms of recognizing the play post snap, because he doesn't know how to play that position, because that's not what he's used to playing at Ohio State all the time. But all of a sudden now, when we have Jim Leonhard in the preseason game, and all of a sudden he's making a bunch of plays, and everyone's saying, "Who is this player? Why isn't he should be starting in the slot?" Well, what do you have it? The player that played well, all of a sudden, well, of course he knows how to play well, because guess what? He was drafted. He was drafted in the 5th round and drafted as an all Big Ten player because he played in the freaking slot. So go figure. Is that all of a sudden now we have a defensive coordinator who's playing players in their natural positions that they played all their lives, instead of McDermott, who's taking players, putting them out of position, and putting them in predetermined areas that fits his particular style. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But when it doesn't work, we pay the cost. We pay the ultimate price ultimately when we get into the postseason, and that's what happens too much. Look at Tremaine Edmonds. Again, I know it's the secondary topic, but look at Tremaine Edmonds for a perfect example. Tremaine Edmonds was known before Averill Reese, who was drafted this year at number 3, or Abdul Carter. They're drafted high. Why? Because they're playing off the edge. They're playing as an outside linebacker role, but they're basically playing as an extra edge rusher. That was Tremaine Edmonds at Virginia Tech. That's what he was. He was an outside linebacker who they use in heavy fronts, and they basically use him to set the edge and to get after the quarterback. They use him in so many different blitz packages. He was basically Dorian Williams. We get him to Buffalo, and he's literally playing Mike. He's playing traditional Mike. And to be fair to Tremaine Edmonds, he played well. He played well. He was very similar to.
He lacked the splash plays, but he was solid. He lacked the splash.
Right, like he was getting compared to Brian Urlacher, but he's not Brian Urlacher. Like he may have the physicality and the size of Brian Urlacher, but he doesn't have nowhere near the mental capacity of Brian Urlacher. Why? Because linebacker is not his natural position. It's not his natural position. He basically didn't have a position when he played out of high school. So this is what we're talking about with McDermott in terms of getting players to play different roles that they're not accustomed to playing. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't work. But ultimately, what does work for McDermott's defense, and this is just the weirdest crap, and some people may find my words confusing, is the players that he does draft, and when he does get them to play roles or assignments that they're used to playing, they excel. Christian Benford.
Yeah, they excel.
Benford is a cover 3 corner. What's our defense? Mostly cover 3 out of a 4-3 look. All of a sudden, Christian Benford is excelling. But then you have Kiara Elam, who was a press man corner, who you get him to play in that particular role, and you change up all his different tendencies, and you change up just everything that he's
boxing gloves on him.
And look at it, and then all of a sudden when we get him to play right back to traditional man, he's getting cooked, and then people are going to blame the player. No, that's on coaching, because you're rewiring a player's brain to play in your specific scheme. And that can absolutely disrupt the player's development, especially a young player in the NFL. I'm telling you, playing as a defensive back, especially with the amount of assignments that they have to play, it's one of the hardest things to grasp. Not just what you're doing on the field, but what you're doing off the field. So rewiring a player's brain that they're not used to doing, and then all of a sudden getting them back to playing that role that you drafted them for in the first place, it's not going to work out 9 times out of 10. So this is my problem. That's my problem. And that's why I think with the Leonhard secondary, when we have players like Jordan Hancock, we have players like Jalen Kilgore, who, by the way, Jalen Kilgore played in the slot in South Carolina, but before that, the 2 years prior, He played as a post safety. Guess what we're getting Jalen Kilgore playing now as a freaking post safety, or we're having him play as a split safety, which he's also accustomed to doing because he played both roles at South Carolina at a high level. So we're getting players to play in their natural roles. We're not getting them to think too much. And when we're doing that particularly well, that is what's going to elevate players compared to what McDermott was doing, how it could work, but you're gambling. Sherm knows it, but you're gambling. That's what we're doing.
Hey, listen, Sherm, it's funny because like when I look at the cornerbacks, you know what I mean, and I look at like the secondary as a whole, but when I look at the cornerbacks, it was funny because like when IGB was picked up, I was against it. But I'm ready to be proven wrong, Sherm. Like I'm ready to be proven wrong in respects to his impact.
And guess what we have him doing, by the way? We got him. He's playing press. We don't just got him playing 15 yards back or 10 yards back. You're
going to be. That's my hot take. I've stood on business, and I don't care. I'm telling you, he's everything they want him to be and more. It shows the change. Listen, what Sean McDermott did well, because I don't want to shit on the guy all that, but after that drought, he instituted a culture. Okay. And you had to make Buffalo an organization that was now ready to win and used to winning. And I think the misconception, and it's because, look, I'm not going to shit on Buffalo, but I'm going to talk about Buffalo for a second.
Come on,
when you get drafted, when you get drafted to Buffalo, you have to have a certain character built, right? A lot of these guys are getting a lot of money in their first time in their career. You know, you see about it in what was it, the ESPN, the 90s, and you see Thurman Thomas say, "Oh, I think I'm getting drafted to Buffalo," and
he said I was going to New York City.
This ain't New York City, right? And so when you look at what was established, an absolute hit on Josh Allen, who none of us were taking, none of us, everyone here, nobody was taking Josh Allen. Then in the first year, you know, you have Tyrod Taylor, and you get to that Jacksonville game that was an absolute stinker. It was a true McDermott class. But let's say this.
I was there.
What he did
we just broke the drought. It was all good. It was all good.
I was there too. Yeah, I was sitting there, but that 3 points, man, that sits with me. But I say this. I actually got a picture. I got a picture hugging Sean McDermott after the game, just so you know. So I liked McDermott, and I liked the culture that was instituted. I think that he knew that in order to make Buffalo, he needed to get character. People that are okay in Buffalo, right? What was the big? I mean, I remember celebrating like hell because we got Mario Williams to come to Buffalo, right?
Sure,
like
that was a big day. It was a big deal.
This wasn't the attractive place always to be. So McDermott had to walk a fine line because he spent so long building this culture, building this locker room, building this organization from the ground floor. He really did. And you got to give him credit for that because he got players that not only bought in, but they didn't have to go. These are guys that want to be family men. They buy houses. They take money to go less in Buffalo. They've embraced it, right? Not every player can do that. Like me, I was, if you remember a couple of years ago, I said, hey, listen, mortgage those fucking picks and just, you know, because now we can look back, we can see what those picks would have been, and those picks would have been Keon
hindsight's
Coleman
always 2020. I understand.
I know it's 2020, but I was before the hindsight, so I was looking through the front when I wasn't looking through the rear view. I remember you were there, and I said you can package that in the trade. You can package these two first. Oh no, and you can go up, and they say, oh, you don't have a dance partner. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the business of finding what people's breaking point is. Trust me, there is a price. There's a price. And you can go up and get that, but you can't put a Malik Neighbors in Buffalo at that point. Like if Josh Allen's not there. Right. Gardner Johnson probably doesn't come to Buffalo if Josh Allen's not here. So let's also recognize the opportunity and the opportunity cost that McDermott did afford us. He built something wonderful. He's just not the guy to take it over the top. And like I said, I live in the Tampa Bay area. I watched Tony Dungy do the same damn thing. I watched him build a beautiful, beautiful thing. And guess what? He just would not adapt. And it took John Gruden coming in. Mm-hmm. It's just what happens. And sometimes there's the proverbial hump that you can't get over. The guy couldn't do it. And yes, we can say the players have to make plays, but you also have to make the right decisions. You have to put the people in the right. Eventually, there is no such thing as a one-off. There is no outliers. There is a trend. There's a trend of scoring and then not getting off the field. Scoring, not getting off the field. And so if we can get a couple of those things, I'm not going to, I'm not gonna, dismiss what McDermott did, but I do have to say it was time.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
think it's a
time.
gamble. You keep saying it. You said a couple times, I'm ready to see what's going on. And the truth of the matter
Well,
is,
because it's unknown. I say that because it's unknown. We don't know Jim Leonhard. We know Jim Leonhard as Wisconsin's defensive coordinator. We know him as the understudy under Bowles. Under Vance Joseph in Denver. We don't know what It's like it is a gamble. I just think that the change. I'm just not scared of the change. That's what I mean by that, Jared and Sherm. Like I'm not scared of the change. Things will be different. I think that for Bills Mafia, as we begin to wrap up tonight, I think that you should expect there are going to be bigger plays that are given up that we are not. What was one of the staples of McDermott's defenses? He was never beat over the top. Never beat over the top. We had obviously all pro Poe. We had Hyde. Never beat over the top. We might get beat over the top a couple times. I heard in Cleveland in the joint practices we were getting beat. Casey Concepcion was having a couple good plays. Listen, we might give up some shit, but I think that like the trade-off, I think is just worth it. Where I'm just not worried about it, Jarek. I'm not worried about what we lack, as opposed to the differences that we're giving teams. I think that we're just going to give them such different looks that I think that it might balance out. Does that make sense? Or I don't know if that makes sense or not.
well, what I'd say is this: if you're going to be a run first team, right? That's what we were. We transitioned. McDermott took us to a run first team. We went to James Cook. He's the Russian leader. If you're going to play that culture, that style of football, right, then you better damn sure stop the run, because you're not controlling the clock. You're not
Right.
getting off the
It's
field.
a fallacy.
If you're going to do that, then you have to at least be good on the other side for that. If not, you're probably better off giving up the big play. Why? Because your defense isn't going to be gassed at the end of the day.
You have more
You're
time
not
on the
giving up.
clock for
And
your
there's only
quarterback. Mm-hmm.
when you're at the bottom, there's only one place to go. That's up. And our run defense can literally not get worse. It can. It has nowhere to go.
You agree, Jarek? You agree, Jarek? Like there's nowhere to go but up with this new scheme under Jim Leonhard?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're literally starting this thing from scratch, and we're basically getting a bunch of McDermott players, and we're basically trying to fit them in a scheme. That's in a sense why Leonhard says I don't have all the pieces I need as of yet. Some of these players are going to stay in the long term, but yeah, like there's a reason why a bunch of the McDermott players that are still free agents.
They're not signed. I was going to say the same thing.
They're not even, like no one cares about it. I ain't gonna lie to you, Teron.
I'm not even beating that drum. You know, I've been saying it over and over. And I mean, now Taylor Rapp got signed, and they're all writing me. Taylor Rapp signed. Well, 7 other motherfuckers aren't. Where's Joey Bosa? Where's Daquan Jones? Tell me right now.
Exactly.
Still a free agent.
McDermott was here. They're still in the roster.
Signed anywhere? Because we can get him on right now. Because I'm pretty sure he's unemployed. Let me tell you something real quick. I'm telling you right now, like there is a reason these men are not on practice squads. They're not on anything. Yes, they were Buffalo culture guys. There was a reason why the minute that McDermott was fired, the number one person who comes out is Jordan Phillips, and they're all like, "Did you see Phillips' Instagram?"
Because he gave him a job.
I don't give
he kept giving him a job
about Phillips' Instagram. Take that. Listen, we don't care. Like that wasn't it. You knew the writing was on the wall. You saw certain things. He was acting out of McDermott aura or whatever it was throughout the year. And, we were having the discussion, do we have enough? And I'm with Jarek. I don't believe the roster is where it needs to be.
Okay.
We aren't the Seattle Seahawks of 2025.
Right.
We probably don't come close to the Houston Texans personnel on defense. However, without all that, we were one, catch, non-catch, whatever it was, away from potentially, So for me, Rob, I think in summation, no, I mean, serious. I mean, we're going to need fundamentals have to tie up. They have to be better. And damn it, it's okay to say it. We need a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck to roll along way. A little bit. That's okay to say that. That is
it's
okay.
Not
binary.
I say it all I say it every year. I say it. Yes, I say it.
The ball has to bounce our way once or twice. It just has to.
The ball is oblong. There's sometimes it's just luck that is involved that people inherently do not like to acknowledge. As we wrap up tonight, Jarek and Sherm, I appreciate both of you guys. Listen, check them out. You could check out Jarek Hall at Jance. That's JANCE 716 on Twitter. You could check out my boy Sherm. Listen, check him out. Sherm Geezay. That's SHERM GEEZAY. Check them out on Twitter. Listen, check them both out because I've been in spaces, like I said, for about a year now with these fellas, and I really appreciate it. Listen, last thing, we'll wrap up. DT kind of bowed out. He said, "Listen, man, the connections, it's not fucking with me tonight. It's and Jared said it right at the beginning. It's the McDermott cronies. They're finding a way to keep his name untarnished. So we'll keep moving. But as we wrap up tonight, I want to know your predictions for the defense. Now, I don't necessarily need a number. My main focus and the number one thing, I said this a couple nights ago on a space, on a Bill space. You guys weren't around, but I said, listen, my number one problem for 2026, and that is including what Jim Leonhard said. Yes, I don't necessarily have all my pieces. Now, I think that he was just hedging our expectations, but it doesn't mean that he thought that we're going to be shitty. He just was saying, listen, I don't have everything that I need right now, but we're working towards it. My number one problem and my number one concern, Jared Sherm, is that at the end of the year, we're in the exact same spot that we've been in, where the defense can't get a stop. We need them to get a stop. We need Josh to have a little bit of help. He can't be perfect every time. He can't put on the Superman cape every time. And I'm worried that in a key situation, we might just be in the same spot, because it doesn't matter how you get to where you're going. If you get and you end up at the same spot, then you end up at the same fucking spot. Talk to me as we close up tonight, Jared. Talk me off a ledge, I guess. I'm giving you the opportunity to talk me off a ledge. I'm worried that at the end of the year, we'll be in the exact same spot, whether it's because he didn't have his pieces or whatever. And that's the thing that keeps me up at night. When I think about Jim Leonhard and this new defense, it's like, oh shit, he didn't have his pieces, and it was divisional round against whoever, Denver, whoever, and we came up short again. And then that's going to feel eerily similar to what I've been feeling these last 9 years.
Oh well. I mean, I'm the wrong person to talk to, because I'm one of the rare Bills fans that think that in year one, we ain't gonna get this thing done in the first year of this regime. Listen, shout out to my guy Coach Sean. He says it best, man. The truth is in the details, and so we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure out exactly what this defense can be made of. But I kind of agree with you, Rob, in a sense where I think that. Do I think that we have the defense this year to stop Patrick Mahomes? Do we have the defense this year to stop? I'll even say, listen, we beat Lamar twice.
Jackson, you can name them all.
Quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I would even say a Bo Nix. I hate to say it, I'm gonna throw Bo Nix name in there, because we couldn't get the job done against Bo Nix, and he does. We did. Say what you want to say about Bo Nix. Bo Nix
gave him the ball a bunch of times. I'm not giving Bo Nix.
He had 2 successful drives that won them the game. It is what it is. He outplayed our quarterback.
But with our quarterback fucking up to help. Like we had to help him.
Outplayed the quarterback. He didn't make any crucial mistakes.
With Josh Allen helping by turning the ball over.
It is what it is.
And James
but that's the point, though. That game, it should never have been close in the first place. We should have blown out Denver. Right. We were like Jacksonville was way more difficult team to play against.
You're right.
And we found a way to mess that up. So ultimately, at the end of the day, is this going to be? I think the real question is this going to be a defense that can win you football games if our quarterback screws up? Because if the quarterback plays perfect, let's be honest, 99.9% of the time, we're going to win football games. The 0.1% is because we can't figure out, because our special teams coordinator or McDermott couldn't figure out to not squib kick the football and waste
outside of 13 seconds. Yeah, you're right. Like Sherm, do you agree? Do you agree with Jared?
No, I haven't agreed. He knows that. I never was under. So going into last season, I actually believed we had enough to get it done, even though I believed in the deficiencies. It took me till about whatever the week the Tampa game was, and everybody was all excited, and I stand on it because I was there, and I went, well, we can't win the Super Bowl, but we're gonna have some fucking fun, is what we're gonna do. However, this year I do believe that, and it's not a fan. I've never. Going into the later part, I believe I'm on the second half of my life. The first half is done. I've never thought that the Buffalo Bills would be in the Super Bowl and ever gave that prediction ever. I genuinely, I never thought that. This year, I just, again, Sands getting beat by someone who has familiarity with the defense. Spags is a bad matchup for Josh. Styles make fights. It's just what it is. He knows him very well. And I'll be honest, depending on what this Texans team does in the first week, which I didn't see much of it against, but that defense has been known to cause Josh problems. No, other than that, without those two teams, I don't see any way that this defense doesn't get better. The turnover margin, we haven't been positive. Last year we weren't positive. If you can flip three numbers is all the Bills have to flip this year, and they will. The offense is going to be the offense. Mind you, I'm watching a game. I told you I was watching Prime Vision again to watch the Texans game. We started with Elijah Moore and Tyrell Shavers out there. I mean, come on, man. Like, if you think DJ Moore, Shakir, even adding certain aspects, Keon coming into his own, I think the offense is going to be, I think we can say without a doubt, it's going to be the same thing, right? Or it might even open
or
up
better.
Exactly. So let's just say that the constant is the same. Let's keep the constant. So the three numbers you have to worry about are the first that I always pound the table on is, can we do yards per play on the rush? You cannot give up 5 yards per play. Let's say we get that down 1 yard. That's it. 1 yard. You get it down to 4. Now you've opened up, you've taken drives that are now taking up a lot of the time. That's going to control time of possession. That's going to allow Josh to get in a little bit more of a rhythm. I'm not even taking it in a points scenario. I'm talking about just stopping the run a little bit. It stops the bleeding. That's number 1. Number 2, turnover margin. You can't be negative in that. If the Bills are positive in the turnover margin, which I know this is a defensive thing, so we're going to say, hey, the defense is going to have to force some fucking turnovers. That's what it is.
Sure.
And last but not least, you hear me pounding the drum on this. I think that we were predictable, and I think that we're going to give different looks that are now going to cause players like Drake May. We have the first matchup, like I said, against Stroud. You give them where they can't identify where they're going right away, they get shook. And that little bit of hesitation in our sacks have to go up. We're in the bottom third in sacks. That has to change. Right. If sacks go from 1 point, whatever it is, 1.7 a game, and we can even get up, we don't have to get to Denver level. Denver's at 4. The Texans are at like 3.8. We just need that to go up. You get 1 more sack a game. You get 1 less yard to carry. I guarantee there's just, we had Denver. The year we did. And yes, Bo Nix played well, but again, Bo Nix knew. Bo Nix had pre-snap reads. He knew where he was throwing beforehand. Yep. You will never have that. I don't care if you line up me, Rob,
BT, and then
Derek at safety. Bo Nix should be looking at 3 of us on the line and someone running back, not just lined up. And Bo Nix, before the play even starts, he knew where he was going. I promise you he did. You're not going to know where you're going this year. And I promise with that, those margins, and you get a little bit better. But those 3 numbers are the biggest thing. And you watch them. And if the Buffalo Bills can contain, and I didn't even say get dominant. That's the thing. Everyone's expecting somebody to say, hey, we need to come in here. We're going to be a great defense. No, I just need us to not be last. That's it.
I just don't need them to throw up on themselves in the playoffs. And that's good enough for me. I listen. I appreciate both of you guys. DT already texted me. He sends his regards. Said every time he tried to hop on, he could not get on, and it was breaking up. So we appreciate it. Listen, he's celebrating his grandma Willa's 101 birthday. 101. Wow. What the fuck?
I won't make it that long.
I don't have any idea. Like 101. I don't even know if I want to be around that long. But listen, I heard Grandma Willa is doing her thing down there.
Happy birthday,
in Panama City. Yes, man. So happy birthday, GT. Enjoy it tonight as we wrap up tonight. We really appreciate it. Listen, Nickel City Crew, Bills Mafia. Listen, I told you guys that this was like one of the last episodes we had to talk about McDermott. I'm done. We are done. Next week, we've got Mama Monday, the resident mama of Nickel City Crew. She is coming. We are ready to talk about Josh Allen. We're ready to talk about the brain as we do yearly. We're going to break it down. He's a dad now. He's now, he's a husband. He's a dad. I don't know. It's time to break down Josh Allen. Like this is act 2 of his career. So we are really, really excited. Mama Monday will be here next week. Listen, we appreciate you guys. Listen, over 350 people on the TGIF Friday watching us live across all platforms. We appreciate your time tonight. Listen, again, DT sends his regards. Sherm, Jarek, I appreciate y'all. Y'all showed up big. Y'all did me right. Y'all made me look good. I appreciate y'all tonight. Salute to you guys for sure. I appreciate your time tonight, man. Listen, as always, enjoy it. Bills have Cleveland just came off of the joint practices, so they will be in Cleveland tomorrow night. Tomorrow afternoon, 1:00 kickoff. Preseason game number 2. Only 3 preseason games now. You know that with the new schedule. So listen, I don't expect any of the starters to play. Everything I've heard from Joe Brady was like, let's get good work in on Thursday, and then none of y'all motherfuckers have to play in the game on Saturday. And from what I heard, they had some good work put in. I heard the tight ends showed out, and Josh Allen showed out yesterday. So I don't expect any of the main starters to play. Maybe some of the couple of the rookies and stuff like that on defense will get a chance to get some shine. But other than that, let's everybody hope that everybody stays healthy. Listen, out there, we appreciate you tonight. Spread love, not hate. These were my Bills thoughts said out loud. Listen, it's customary. DT's not here. Hit him with a Go Bills. Sherm, hit him with a Go Bills. Jared, we hit him with a Go Bills at the show.
Go Bills. Go Bills.
Go Bills. I love it. I love it.